The notification sound from Zoe's phone cuts through our morning coffee like a knife through butter. Again. I watch my wife's face light up brighter than the Miami sunrise streaming through our penthouse windows as she checks her latest Instagram metrics. Oh my God, Jake! The Lamborghini post hit 2 million likes. She practically bounces in her chair, designer silk robe slipping off one shoulder as she frantically types responses to comments. Look at this engagement rate. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I sip my coffee and study her. 26 years old, blonde hair that costs more than most people's rent, and 3 million followers who hang on her every filtered word. Zoe Lane, soon to be Zoe Harper if this marriage actually makes it to the altar, is what they call an influencer. I call it professional narcissism with a smartphone. That's great, babe, I say, meaning absolutely none of it. The Lamborghini she's referring to is mine. Well, technically it belongs to my luxury car rental business, Harper Exotic Rentals. But Zoe treats every car in my fleet like her personal photo prop. She doesn't look up from her screen. Remy says I should do a whole series about luxury lifestyle. You know, behind the scenes of dating a successful businessman. Remy, her best friend and fellow influencer, a walking gossip magazine with fake eyelashes and a talent for stirring up drama. If Zoe is professional narcissism, Remy is amateur psychopath. Sure, I say, because arguing with Zoe about her career is like trying to explain quantum physics to a golden retriever. Possible in theory, pointless in practice. My phone buzzes. Carl, my best friend and business partner, texting about a client meeting. Unlike my fiancé, Carl actually contributes something meaningful to society. He handles our digital security and occasionally hacks into competitors' systems when I need market intelligence. Not exactly legal, but Miami's luxury car rental business isn't exactly Sunday school either. I need to head to the office, I tell Zoe, standing and grabbing my keys. She finally looks up, but only because I'm blocking her ring light. Don't forget we have dinner with my mom tonight. She wants to discuss wedding venues. Wedding venues? Right. Because nothing says eternal love like Zoe's mother, Patricia, calculating the Instagram potential of each location. The woman treats our relationship like a business merger, which, honestly, might be exactly what it is. Wouldn't miss it, I lie smoothly. Zoe's already back to her phone, probably scheduling her next candid moment. I head for the door, wondering when my life became a supporting role in someone else's social media empire. The elevator ride down to the parking garage gives me 60 seconds of blessed silence. No notifications, no ring lights, no fake laughter for the camera. Just me and my thoughts, which lately have been darker than I care to admit. I built Harper Exotic Rentals from nothing. Started with one beat-up Ferrari I bought at auction and turned it into Miami's premier luxury car rental service. Lamborghinis, McLarens, Bentleys, if it's expensive and fast, I've got it. Rich tourists, celebrities, influencers like Zoe, they all come to me when they want to look successful for a few hours. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm essentially in the business of selling fake lifestyles. My phone rings as I'm unlocking my personal car, a modest BMW that doesn't photograph well, according to Zoe. Carl's name flashes on the screen. Please tell me you have good news, I answer. Define good, Carl says. Vince Martinez is sniffing around the Delacroix account again. Vince Martinez, my biggest competitor and Miami's sleaziest businessman. He runs Paradise Luxury Rentals like a mob operation, complete with questionable insurance practices and clients who pay in cash. The fact that he's never been shut down tells you everything you need to know about his connections. What's his angle this time? Same as always. Undercutting our prices, promising better service, probably bribing someone. Mrs. Delacroix is wavering. The Delacroix account is worth $500,000 annually. Old money family, multiple properties, constant need for luxury transportation. Losing them would hurt. Set up a meeting. I'll handle Vince personally. You sure? Last time you two were in the same room, security had to intervene. That was different. He insulted my business model. He said you were playing dress-up with borrowed cars. Exactly. Insulted my business model. Carl laughs. I'll set it up. But Jake, be careful. Vince has been asking questions about your personal life, specifically about Zoe. That stops me cold. What kind of questions? The kind that suggest he's looking for leverage. Just watch yourself, okay? I hang up feeling like someone just walked over my grave. In Miami's luxury business scene, information is currency, and personal scandals are bankruptcy waiting to happen. If Vince is digging into my relationship with Zoe, he's planning something bigger than just stealing clients. The drive to my office usually calms me down. Today it doesn't. Miami's streets are clogged with tourists and posers, everyone trying to look more successful than they actually are. Just like Zoe. Just like me, if I'm being honest. Harper Exotic Rentals occupies a gleaming showroom in Aventura, all glass and chrome and carefully arranged supercars. It's designed to impress, and it works. Clients walk in feeling ordinary and leave feeling like kings. For a few $100s a day, they can pretend to be someone else entirely. Morning, boss. Sarah, my office manager, greets me with coffee and a stack of contracts. Mrs. Chen called about extending her McLaren rental, and we have 3 new inquiries for the Bugatti. The Bugatti. My crown jewel, a $2 million work of art that rents for $5,000 a day. Only serious players can afford it, which makes every rental a statement. Who's asking about the Bugatti? Tech entrepreneur, oil executive son, and... Sarah pauses, checking her notes. Zoe Lane. She wants it for some kind of collaboration video. Of course she does. My fiancé wants to use my most expensive car as a prop for her Instagram followers. The same followers who think she owns everything she poses with. Tell her it's booked, I say automatically. Sarah raises an eyebrow but doesn't comment. She's worked for me for 3 years and has seen enough of Zoe's antics to understand the situation. I'm reviewing rental agreements when my phone buzzes with a text from Zoe. Babe, can you bring the white Lambo home tonight? Want to film a sunset drive for tomorrow's post? Love you. The white Lambo. A Lamborghini Huracan worth $300,000, currently generating revenue from actual paying customers, but Zoe sees it as her personal accessory. I text back, it's rented until Thursday. Her response comes immediately. Can't you just ask them to return it early? This is important for my brand. Her brand. Everything is about her brand. Our relationship, my cars, even our upcoming wedding. It's all content for Zoe's endless need for attention and validation. Sorry, business is business, I reply. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Finally, fine, but we need to talk about this tonight. Great. Another talk about how I don't support her career, don't understand the influencer lifestyle, don't appreciate what she's building. As if posting pictures of herself in bikinis next to cars she doesn't own qualifies as building anything. Carl walks into my office carrying his laptop and wearing the expression he gets when he's discovered something interesting. Please tell me you found dirt on Vince, I say. Better. I found out why he's asking about Zoe. Carl sets his laptop on my desk and turns it toward me. Look at this. The screen shows a private Instagram message thread. I recognize one of the usernames immediately, our Remy Miami, Zoe's best friend. How did you... Never mind. I don't want to know, I say, scanning the messages. What I read makes my blood run cold. Remy, girl, you need to be careful. Jake's business is doing too well. What if he gets suspicious about the money? Unknown user. He won't. Men like that only see what they want to see. Besides, the plan is working perfectly. Remy. I still think this is risky. What if Zoe changes her mind? Unknown user. She won't. She's too invested now, plus she likes the attention. Remy. And you're sure about the timeline? Unknown user. Trust me, by the time Jake figures out what's happening, it'll be too late. I read the conversation twice, my hands getting steadier with each pass. Who's the unknown user? Still working on that. But Jake? Carl's voice is careful, like he's talking to someone standing on a ledge. There's more. He scrolls down to show me additional messages, these ones between Remy and Zoe herself. Zoe. I feel bad about lying to him. Remy. Honey, you're not lying. You're just editing the truth, like your photos. Zoe. But what if he finds out before we're ready? Remy. He won't. Jake's too busy playing businessman to notice what's right in front of him. Zoe. You really think this'll work? Remy. Trust me, men like Jake are so predictable. Give them what they think they want and they'll never see the real game. I close the laptop and lean back in my chair. My fiancée is planning something, and whatever it is, she thinks I'm too stupid to notice. There's one more thing, Carl says quietly. I traced some of the metadata from Zoe's recent posts. She's been meeting with someone regularly, someone who doesn't want to be photographed. Any idea who? Working on it. But Jake, whatever they're planning, it involves your business, and probably your money. I nod slowly, pieces of a puzzle I didn't even know existed starting to form a picture. Zoe's sudden interest in my finances, her mother's pointed questions about prenups, Remy's constant presence in our lives, always watching, always listening. Keep digging, I tell Carl, and be discreet. If they think I'm suspicious, they might accelerate whatever timeline they're working with. What are you going to do? Good question. What do you do when you discover the woman you're supposed to marry is running some kind of con game? When your entire relationship might be nothing more than an elaborate setup? I'm going to play along, I say finally. Let them think their plan is working, and then I'm going to destroy them so completely they'll wish they'd never heard my name. Carl grins. Now you're talking. What do you need? Everything you can find on Zoe, Remy, and whoever they're working with. Financial records, communication logs, social media analytics. If they're planning to screw me over, I want to know every detail before they make their move. Consider it done. After Carl leaves, I sit alone in my office, surrounded by contracts and rental agreements and all the paperwork of a successful business I built from nothing. Outside, Miami gleams in the afternoon sun, all palm trees and possibility, and people pretending to be more than they are. I've always known this city runs on illusion. I just never thought I was living in one. My phone buzzes with another text from Zoe. Can't wait for tonight. Mom has some amazing ideas for the wedding. This is going to be perfect. Perfect. Right. I text back, looking forward to it. And for the first time in months, I actually mean it. Because tonight, I'm going to start paying very close attention to everything my fiancé says and does. If Zoe wants to play games, I'll play along. But she's about to learn that I didn't build a successful business by being naive. And I didn't survive Miami's cutthroat luxury market by letting people take advantage of me. If Zoe thinks I'm just another mark in her con game, she's made the biggest mistake of her life. Cafe Prima sits on Ocean Drive like a jewel in Miami's crown, all white tablecloths and ocean views and prices designed to separate tourists from their money. It's exactly the kind of place Patricia Lane would choose for our dinner, expensive enough to photograph well, exclusive enough to make her feel important. I arrive 5 minutes late, a calculated move. In business, timing is everything, and I want to observe before being observed. Zoe and her mother are already seated at a prime table, both glued to their phones. Patricia is 52, but fights aging like it's a personal enemy, with enough Botox to paralyze a horse and a wardrobe that screams, "I married money, and I'm not giving it up." Zoe gets her looks from her mother and her morals from the same place. "Jake?" Zoe jumps up to kiss me, a performance for the other diners. "You look amazing." I'm wearing the same suit I always wear to business dinners, but Zoe's followers expect her to date someone who looks successful. Image is everything in her world. Patricia. I nod to Zoe's mother, who offers her cheek for an air kiss that doesn't actually involve contact. God forbid I mess up her makeup. Jacob, darling, you look tired? Business keeping you busy? Something like that. We sit, and immediately Patricia launches into wedding planning mode. Venue options, catering choices, guest lists. She's got spreadsheets and Pinterest boards and enough planning materials to coordinate a military invasion. I've been thinking about the Fontainebleau for the reception, she says, showing me photos on her tablet. Very elegant, perfect for photographs, and the guest capacity is ideal. How many guests are we talking about? I ask. Zoe and Patricia exchange a look. Well, that depends on your guest list, Zoe says carefully. I mean, I have my followers to consider, and Mom has her social circle. Your followers? Not all of them, obviously, but some of the bigger influencers. Maybe a few celebrities if we can arrange it. This could be a huge opportunity for brand partnerships. Brand partnerships. My wedding as a marketing opportunity. I shouldn't be surprised, but somehow I still am. I see. And what about my friends? My business associates? Another look between mother and daughter. Of course, Patricia says smoothly. Though we'll need to be selective. The guest list needs to be curated. Curated, like I'm some kind of embarrassment that needs to be managed. The waiter arrives to take our order, and I use the interruption to study the two women across from me. Carl's discovery of those messages has me seeing everything differently. Every glance, every word, every gesture. It all feels calculated now. So, Jake, Patricia says after we've ordered. Zoe tells me business is going very well. That's wonderful. I can't complain. And the financial projections for next year? Still looking positive? There it is. Patricia Lane doesn't care about my health, my happiness, or my relationship with her daughter. She cares about my bank account. We're expecting significant growth, I say vaguely. That's fantastic. Of course, with marriage comes shared financial responsibility. Have you given any thought to combining resources? Zoe shifts uncomfortably. Mom, we don't need to discuss this now. Nonsense, darling. These are important conversations. Jake understands that marriage is a partnership in every sense. I sip my wine and consider my response. Actually, I've been thinking about that. My attorney suggested a prenup might be wise, given the complexity of my business assets. The temperature at the table drops 10 degrees. Patricia's smile becomes strained, and Zoe looks like I just suggested we elope to Vegas. A prenup? Zoe's voice is carefully controlled. That seems so unromantic. It's practical. Protects both of us if things don't work out. Things not working out? Patricia's voice could cut glass. Jacob, surely you're not having doubts about your commitment to my daughter? Not at all. But business has taught me to plan for every contingency. The waiter brings our appetizers, and we eat in tense silence. I can practically hear the wheels turning in both women's heads, recalculating whatever plan they've been working on. My phone buzzes with a text from Carl. Found something. Check your email when you get a chance. Excuse me, I say, standing. I need to take this. I step outside onto Ocean Drive, where the usual circus of tourists and street performers provides perfect cover for a phone call. What did you find? I ask when Carl answers. The mystery person Remy's been messaging? It's Eric Volkov, personal trainer, aspiring model, and currently Zoe's, let's call him, fitness instructor. Eric Volkov. I know the name. Zoe's been working with a personal trainer for the past 3 months, supposedly getting in shape for the wedding. She's mentioned him a few times, young, attractive, motivational, the kind of guy who posts shirtless selfies and calls it fitness inspiration. How long has this been going on? The messages go back about 2 months, but Jake, there's more. I hacked into Zoe's cloud backup. You need to see these photos. My email pings, and I open Carl's message. The photos that load make my stomach turn. Zoe and Eric. In my apartment, in my bed, in my car. Images that are definitely not meant for Instagram, though they're shot with the same attention to lighting and angles as her public posts. There are videos too, Carl says quietly. I'm not sending those unless you really want to see them. I don't. I close my phone and lean against the restaurant's wall, trying to process what I've just learned. My fiancé is cheating on me, with her personal trainer, and documenting it like everything else in her life. Jake? There's something else. The timestamps on these files show they were taken last week, while you were in Orlando for the car show. Last week. When Zoe claimed she was sick and couldn't come with me. When she said she needed to stay home and rest. Keep digging, I tell Carl. I want to know everything. How long this has been going on, what they're planning, all of it. You got it. What are you going to do? Good question. What do you do when you discover your entire life is a lie? When the woman you're planning to marry is not just cheating on you, but apparently running some kind of long-term con? I'm going to finish dinner, I say finally, and I'm going to be very, very careful about what I say and do. I walk back into the restaurant, my mind racing. Zoe and Patricia look up expectantly as I sit down. Sorry about that. Business call. On a Sunday evening? Patricia's tone suggests I've committed some kind of social crime. Miami's luxury market doesn't observe normal hours. We resume eating, but the conversation feels different now. Every comment about the wedding, every question about my finances, every seemingly innocent inquiry, it all sounds like intelligence gathering. You know, Zoe says, cutting into her fish, I was thinking about doing a whole series of posts about wedding planning, behind-the-scenes stuff, vendor meetings, dress shopping. My followers love that kind of content. That sounds lovely, darling, Patricia agrees. Very authentic. Authentic. The word tastes bitter in my mouth. Speaking of authentic, I say carefully, how's the personal training going? You've been working with that trainer for a while now. Zoe doesn't miss a beat. Eric's amazing, really helping me get in shape for the wedding. He's very hands-on. I bet he is. Maybe I should meet him sometime, get some fitness tips. Oh, that's not necessary. He's very busy, and his client list is pretty exclusive. I'm sure it is. The rest of dinner passes in a blur of wedding talk and fake smiles. Patricia discusses flower arrangements while I think about the photos on my phone. Zoe talks about her dress while I wonder how long she's been lying to my face. When the check comes, I pay without looking at the total. Money is the least of my problems right now. This was lovely, Patricia says as we prepare to leave. We should do this more often. Absolutely, I agree, meaning the opposite. Outside the restaurant, Zoe links her arm through mine for the benefit of anyone who might be watching, or photographing. That went well, she says. Mom really likes you. I could tell. About the prenup thing. We don't have to decide that right now, do we? No rush, I say. We have plenty of time to work out the details. We walk toward the parking garage in comfortable silence, or what Zoe thinks is comfortable silence. My mind is racing, planning, calculating. If my fiancé wants to play games, I need to understand the rules first. Jake? Zoe's voice is softer now, more vulnerable. You know I love you, right? Whatever happens, that's real. I stop walking and look at her. In the streetlight, she looks younger, almost innocent. For a moment, I almost believe her. Then I remember the photos. I love you too, I say, and I'm surprised to realize it's still partially true. I love who I thought she was. I love the life I thought we were building together. But the woman standing next to me isn't who I thought she was, and the life we're building is apparently built on lies. Good, Zoe smiles and kisses my cheek. Because I have some surprises planned for you. I bet you do, I think, as we walk to our cars. See you at home? She asks. Actually, I need to stop by the office. Some paperwork I forgot to finish. On a Sunday night? You know how it is. Business never sleeps. She nods and gets into her car, a leased Mercedes that photographs better than it drives. I watch her pull out of the parking garage, then get into my own car and call Carl. I need you to set up surveillance on Zoe's apartment, I say without preamble. Already done. I installed cameras this afternoon while you were at dinner. That was fast. I had a feeling you'd want eyes on the situation. Jake, I also did some digging into Patricia Lane's finances. Want to guess what I found? She's broke. Worse than broke. She's leveraged to the eyeballs and facing bankruptcy within 6 months unless she finds a significant cash infusion. The pieces click into place. Patricia's sudden interest in my finances. The push for a quick wedding. The questions about combining resources. They're not just planning to take my money, I realize. They're desperate for it. That's my read too, and desperate people make dangerous decisions. I sit in my car, engine running, thinking about everything I've learned tonight. My fiancée is cheating on me with her personal trainer. Her mother is facing financial ruin. They're planning some kind of con that involves my money and my business, and they think I'm too stupid to figure it out. Carl, I want you to dig deeper into Eric Volkov, background, finances, connections, and see if you can find out more about their timeline. How long do we have before they make their move? I'm on it. What about Zoe? You going home tonight? Yeah, I need to act normal while we figure out their endgame. Be careful, man. If they realize you're onto them, they won't. I've been playing business games in Miami for 10 years. A couple of amateur con artists aren't going to outsmart me. But as I drive home through Miami's neon-lit streets, I can't shake the feeling that I'm missing something important, some crucial piece of the puzzle that will determine whether I'm the hunter or the prey. By the time I reach our apartment, I've made a decision. If Zoe and her mother want to play games with my life and my money, I'll play along, but I'm going to change the rules without telling them. And by the time they realize what's happening, it'll be too late for them to do anything about it. Monday morning brings Miami's typical chaos, traffic, heat, and the endless parade of people pretending to be more successful than they actually are. I'm stuck on I-95, which gives me plenty of time to think about last night's revelations and plan my next moves. My phone rings through the car's Bluetooth system. Carl's name appears on the dashboard display. Please tell me you have good news, I answer. Define good. I've got intel, but you're not going to like it. Hit me. Eric Volkov isn't just Zoe's personal trainer and side piece. He's got connections to some very interesting people. Remember Tony Castellanos? I remember Tony, small-time money launderer who got busted last year running cash through fake fitness businesses. The FBI seized his assets and sent him to federal prison for 8 years. Don't tell me Eric worked for Tony. Worse, Eric was Tony's nephew and business partner. He avoided prosecution by cooperating with the feds, but word on the street is he kept some of Tony's operation running under new management. This keeps getting better. My fiancée isn't just cheating on me with a personal trainer, she's sleeping with a criminal who specializes in financial fraud. There's more, Carl continues. I traced some of Eric's recent financial activity. He's been making regular payments to Patricia Lane for the past 3 months, $5,000 a month, cash deposits. He's paying Zoe's mother? Looks like it. And get this, the payments started right around the time Zoe began working with him as her trainer. I merge into the exit lane, my mind racing. Patricia is broke and desperate. Eric is a criminal with experience in financial fraud. Zoe is the connection between them and my money. What's their endgame, Carl? What are they really after? Still working on that. But I did find something interesting in Eric's communications. He's been researching your business structure, your insurance policies, even your personal assets. This isn't just about stealing money. They're planning something bigger. I pull into my office parking lot and sit in the car, engine running, trying to piece together the puzzle. Keep digging. And Carl, set up a meeting with Detective Rivera. If this involves criminal activity, I want law enforcement aware of what's happening. You sure about that? Once cops are involved, things get complicated. Things are already complicated. I'd rather have them on my side than scrambling to explain why I didn't report suspicious activity. I hang up and walk into Harper Exotic Rentals, where Sarah greets me with her usual efficiency and a stack of messages. Mrs. Chen extended her McLaren rental for another week, she reports. The oil executive's son confirmed the Bugatti for this weekend, and Vince Martinez called 3 times asking to schedule a meeting. Vince Martinez. In all the drama with Zoe, I'd almost forgotten about my business rival and his interest in the Delacroix account. What did Vince want? He wouldn't say, just that it was urgent and concerned your mutual interests. Mutual interests. Vince and I don't have mutual interests unless you count our shared desire to put each other out of business. Set up a meeting for this afternoon. Somewhere public. The usual place? Yeah, Joe's Stone Crab. 2 o'clock. I spend the morning reviewing contracts and trying to focus on legitimate business, but my mind keeps wandering to Zoe and Eric and whatever scheme they're cooking up. Around 11, my phone buzzes with a text from my loving fiancé. Good morning, babe. Can't wait to see you tonight. Eric is coming over to discuss my new workout routine. Hope that's okay. Love you. Eric is coming to our apartment tonight to discuss her workout routine. I text back, sounds great. I'll try to be home early to meet him. Her response comes immediately. Oh, that's not necessary. It'll probably be boring fitness stuff. Why don't you have dinner with Carl or something? Right. She wants me out of the apartment while her boyfriend comes over. How convenient. Actually, I'd love to meet him. You talk about him all the time. 3 dots appear and disappear several times before her response. He's really shy around new people. Maybe another time? I'll stay in the office and let you 2 work. Won't even interrupt. Okay. If you're sure that won't be awkward. Awkward doesn't begin to cover it. At 2 o'clock sharp, I walk into Joe's Stone Crab and spot Vince Martinez immediately. He's hard to miss. 6'4", gold chains, and a tan that comes from a bottle. He looks like Central Casting's idea of a Miami businessman, which is probably intentional. Jake! Vince stands and extends his hand like we're old friends instead of bitter rivals. Thanks for meeting me on short notice. What do you want, Vince? He laughs and signals the waiter. Straight to business. I like that about you. We order drinks. Scotch for him, coffee for me. I don't trust Vince enough to let alcohol cloud my judgment. So, Vince leans back in his chair, interesting developments in your personal life lately. Every alarm bell in my head starts ringing. Meaning? Come on, Jake, this is Miami. Nothing stays secret for long. He pulls out his phone and shows me a photo. Especially when people are careless about where they conduct their business. The photo shows Zoe and Eric entering a hotel together. The timestamp is from last Thursday afternoon. Where did you get this? I have friends in the hospitality industry. They keep me informed about interesting guests. What do you want, Vince? Nothing dramatic. Just a friendly conversation between 2 businessmen who understand how Miami works. He orders another scotch and leans forward conspiratorially. Here's the thing, Jake. Your girl and her boyfriend have been asking questions about you. Financial questions, business structure questions, the kind of questions that suggest they're planning something that might not be entirely legal. And you're telling me this out of the goodness of your heart? I'm telling you this because what they're planning could affect both of us. See, Eric Volkov has been reaching out to some of my former associates, asking about money laundering, asset transfers, ways to move large amounts of cash without triggering federal reporting requirements. My blood runs cold. What kind of amounts? The kind that would require liquidating a successful business. Say, a luxury car rental operation with assets in the millions. I set down my coffee cup carefully, fighting the urge to grab Vince by his gold chains and demand details. Why are you telling me this? Because, believe it or not, I respect what you've built. You're a competitor, but you're honest. Eric Volkov is neither. If he destroys you, he'll come after me next. Bad for business all around. What do you know about their timeline? Vince checks his phone. Word is they're moving fast. Something about a wedding providing the perfect cover for asset transfers. Once you're married, community property laws make everything more complicated. The wedding? Of course. Once Zoe and I are legally married, she'll have legitimate claim to half of everything I own. And if something were to happen to me, an accident, a disappearance, a convenient tragedy, she'd inherit everything. There's one more thing, Vince says quietly. Eric's been asking about your daily routines, where you go when you're alone, whether you carry large amounts of cash, the kind of questions that suggest they might be planning something more permanent than just stealing your money. I feel like someone just poured ice water down my spine. Are you saying they want me to leave? I'm saying Eric Volkov has connections to people who solve problems permanently, and you, my friend, are apparently a very big problem. We sit in silence while I process this information. My fiancée isn't just cheating on me and planning to steal my money, she might be planning to have me killed. What do you get out of warning me? I ask finally. Like I said, bad for business. Plus, if something happens to you, the police will investigate everyone in your circle. That includes competitors like me. I prefer to avoid law enforcement attention. Fair enough. Vince might be sleazy, but he's not stupid. I appreciate the heads up, I tell him. Don't mention it. Literally. This conversation never happened. He stands to leave, then turns back. Jake, whatever you're planning to do about this situation, be smart. Eric Volkov isn't just some pretty boy personal trainer. He's dangerous, and he's connected. Don't underestimate him. After Vince leaves, I sit alone in the restaurant, staring at my untouched coffee and trying to wrap my head around what I've just learned. Zoe isn't just cheating on me. She's part of a criminal conspiracy that might involve my murder. Eric isn't just her boyfriend. He's a professional criminal with connections to money launderers and worse. Patricia isn't just a social climber. She's a desperate woman who's willing to see her daughter's fiancé gone if it solves her financial problems. My phone buzzes with another text from Zoe. Eric's here. We're starting with some cardio. Don't wait up if you're working late. XOXO. Cardio. Right. I call Carl immediately. Change of plans, I tell him when he answers. I need you to contact Detective Rivera now, and I need you to activate every surveillance system we've got. Something big is happening tonight. What kind of big? The kind that might get me killed if we're not careful. I drive back to the office, my mind racing with plans and contingencies. If Zoe and Eric want to play dangerous games, I'll give them more danger than they bargained for. But first, I need to make sure I survive long enough to see them pay for what they've done. By 7 p.m., I'm parked across the street from my own apartment building, watching through Carl's surveillance feed on my tablet. The cameras he installed give me perfect views of the living room, bedroom, and kitchen. Every angle I need to document whatever Zoe and Eric are planning. What I see makes my stomach turn. They're not just having an affair, they're treating my apartment like their personal love nest. Eric is shirtless, walking around like he owns the place, while Zoe parades around in lingerie I bought her. They're drinking my wine, eating my food, and using my furniture for activities I don't want to think about. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is what they're discussing between their romantic interludes. Transfer the Cayman accounts first, Eric is saying, checking something on his laptop. Once the money's offshore, we can liquidate the car inventory. How long will that take? Zoe's voice is businesslike, nothing like the breathy tone she uses with me. 2 weeks, maybe 3. The key is timing it right with the wedding. Once you're legally married, you'll have access to everything. And if Jake gets suspicious before then? Eric's smile is cold. Let me worry about Jake. I've handled bigger problems than one suspicious businessman. I turn up the audio feed, my hands shaking with rage. My mom's getting impatient. Zoe continues. She's already spent the advance you gave her. Tell Patricia to relax. By Christmas, she'll have more money than she knows what to do with. What about the cars? Some of them are worth millions. Already have buyers lined up, Russians mostly. They don't ask questions as long as the paperwork looks legitimate. Russians. Of course. Eric isn't just planning to steal my cars. He's planning to sell them to international criminals who will ship them overseas where they'll never be recovered. My phone rings, making me jump. Carl's name appears on the screen. Please tell me you're recording this, I answer. Every word. Detective Rivera is on standby, and I've got backup surveillance from 3 different angles. These idiots have no idea they're documenting their own crimes. What's the legal situation? Can we arrest them now? Rivera says we need more evidence of actual criminal activity. Right now it's just conspiracy talk. But Jake, there's something else you need to see. Carl sends me a new video file. This one shows Eric alone in my apartment earlier today, going through my personal files, photographing documents, and installing what looks like a small device behind my computer. He bugged your office computer, Carl explains. Keystroke logger, from the look of it. He's been recording everything you type. Passwords, bank accounts, business communications. The scope of their operation is staggering. This isn't a simple affair or even a straightforward theft. It's a sophisticated criminal enterprise designed to steal everything I own and possibly eliminate me in the process. How long has this been going on? Based on the digital evidence, at least 4 months, maybe longer. 4 months. While I was planning our wedding and thinking about our future together, Zoe was planning my destruction. On the surveillance feed, I watch Eric pull out a small device that looks like a phone, but clearly isn't. Signal jammer, Carl explains before I can ask. He's blocking cell tower access to your apartment. If you went home right now, you wouldn't be able to call for help. They're expecting me to come home tonight. Yeah, and based on what I'm seeing, that would be a very bad idea. Eric is now showing Zoe something on his laptop, what looks like floor plans of my apartment building. Service elevator bypasses the security cameras, he's explaining, in and out without being recorded. And you're sure about the insurance? Trust me, sweetheart. Accidental deaths pay double, and grieving widows get very sympathetic treatment from insurance companies. Accidental deaths. They're not just planning to steal from me, they're planning to kill me and make it look like an accident. I've heard enough. Carl, call Detective Rivera. Tell him we have enough evidence for arrest warrants. Conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, theft, whatever charges will stick. Already on it. Rivera's en route with backup. But Jake, you need to stay away from that apartment. If they realize, I'm not going to the apartment. I'm going to end this right now. I hang up and drive to Eric's gym, a trendy fitness center in South Beach that caters to Instagram models and wannabe influencers. If Eric wants to play dangerous games, I'll show him what dangerous really looks like. The gym is mostly empty at this hour. Just a few dedicated bodybuilders, and one very surprised personal trainer named Marcus, who recognizes me immediately. Jake Harper, what brings you here, man? Marcus trained me briefly 2 years ago before I got too busy with the business. He's a good guy, honest, hardworking, nothing like Eric Volkov. I need a favor, Marcus, and I need you to not ask questions. What kind of favor? I pull out my phone and show him Eric's photo. This guy's been spreading lies about my business, trying to steal clients. I want to have a conversation with him, but he's been avoiding me. Marcus studies the photo. Eric Volkov. Yeah, I know him, slimy bastard. He's been poaching clients from other trainers, promising them connections to modeling agencies and social media fame. Any idea where I might find him when he's not here? He's got a side business running private training sessions out of a warehouse in Wynwood. Very exclusive, very expensive, very sketchy, if you ask me. Marcus gives me the address, and 20 minutes later, I'm parked outside a converted warehouse in Miami's Arts District. The building looks abandoned from the outside, but there are lights on in the upper floor and several expensive cars in the parking lot. I call Carl one more time. Change of plans. I'm at Eric's warehouse operation. Send Rivera here instead of the apartment. Jake, this is a bad idea. Let the cops handle it. The cops need evidence. I'm going to get them evidence. I walk around the building until I find a fire escape that leads to the upper floor. The windows aren't secured, typical Miami construction, all style and no substance. Inside, I can hear voices and music. I climb through a window and find myself in what looks like a photography studio mixed with a gym. Professional lighting, cameras, exercise equipment, and a very illegal-looking operation. 3 young women in workout clothes are posing for photos, while a man I recognize as Eric directs the shoot. But these aren't fitness photos. They're clearly pornographic, and at least one of the women looks underage. Eric's criminal operation is bigger than just stealing my money. He's running some kind of modeling scam that's probably connected to human trafficking. I take out my phone and start recording, but before I can get more than a few seconds of footage, someone grabs me from behind. Well, Jake Harper. I spin around to face Eric Volkov in person for the first time. He's bigger than he looked in photos, 6 feet tall, heavily muscled, with the kind of smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Eric, I was hoping we'd get a chance to meet. I bet you were. Question is, what are you doing in my private studio? Admiring your business model. Very diversified. Eric laughs and signals to 2 other men I hadn't noticed. They're both large, both armed, and both looking at me like I'm a problem that needs solving. You know, Jake, you've got terrible timing. I was planning to visit you later tonight. I heard. Something about an accident and insurance payouts? Eric's smile disappears. You've been listening to conversations you shouldn't hear. I've been learning about my fiancé's extracurricular activities. Quite educational. Zoe's a smart girl. She knows a good opportunity when she sees one. Apparently, she also knows a criminal when she sleeps with one. Eric's face darkens, and he nods to his associates. They start moving toward me, but before they can get close, the warehouse lights suddenly blaze on, and Detective Rivera's voice echoes through the building. Miami police. Building is surrounded. Everyone on the ground now. The next few minutes are chaos. Eric's men scatter, the young women scream, and Eric himself tries to run for a back exit. I tackle him before he can reach the door, and we go down hard on the concrete floor. This isn't over, Eric snarls as Rivera's officers cuff him. Yeah, it is, I tell him. You just don't know it yet. Detective Rivera finds me sitting on a crate, nursing bruised knuckles and watching his team process the crime scene. You realize you could have gotten yourself killed, he says. Seemed like they were planning to kill me anyway. At least this way I got to watch them get arrested. We found enough evidence here to put Volkov away for 20 years. Human trafficking, money laundering, fraud, conspiracy to commit murder. He's done. What about Zoe? Rivera's expression softens slightly. We arrested her at your apartment an hour ago. She's claiming she was coerced, that Volkov threatened her if she didn't cooperate. Do you believe her? Does it matter what I believe? The evidence speaks for itself. She's been an active participant in a criminal conspiracy for months. Whatever her motivations, she's going to prison. I nod, feeling strangely empty. Part of me had hoped Zoe was just naive, just manipulated by Eric and her desperate mother. But the surveillance footage doesn't lie, and neither do the financial records Carl uncovered. What happens now? Now you go home, get some sleep, and tomorrow you start rebuilding your life. You're lucky, Jake. Most people don't get advance warning when their loved ones are planning to destroy them. Lucky, right. As I drive home through Miami's neon-lit streets, I think about everything I've lost and everything I've learned. My relationship was a lie, my wedding was a setup, and the woman I thought I loved was planning my murder. But I'm alive, my business is safe, and the people who tried to destroy me are behind bars. In Miami, Sometimes that's the best outcome you can hope for. 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in my office reviewing the insurance settlement paperwork when Sarah buzzes my intercom. "Jake, there's someone here to see you. Says it's about the Volkov case." I look up from the documents spread across my desk. Evidence recovery forms, asset seizure notifications, and a very generous check from my insurance company covering all damages from Eric's criminal operation. "Send them in." The woman who enters my office is not what I expected. Mid-30s, professional attire, carrying a briefcase that screams federal law enforcement. She extends her hand with a firm grip and a no-nonsense smile. "Agent Sarah Martinez, FBI Financial Crimes Division. Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Harper. Please sit down. Coffee?" "I'm fine, thanks." She settles into the chair across from my desk and opens her briefcase. "I'm here to discuss the Volkov Lane case and its connection to a larger investigation we've been conducting." Larger investigation. This keeps getting better. What kind of larger investigation? Eric Volkov wasn't working alone. He was part of an international network that specializes in targeting successful businessmen through romantic relationships. Your case was just one of several similar operations we've been tracking. She slides a folder across my desk. Inside are photos of at least a dozen women, all young, all attractive, all bearing a striking resemblance to Zoe. These women have been involved in similar schemes across Florida, California, and Nevada. The pattern is always the same. They target successful men, establish relationships, gain access to financial information, then coordinate with criminal associates to steal assets. I study the photos, recognizing several faces from Miami's social media scene. How many victims are we talking about? Confirmed, 17. Suspected, probably twice that number. Total losses exceed $50 million. $50 million. Zoe wasn't just cheating on me. She was part of a criminal enterprise that had been operating for years. Where does that leave my case? You're one of the lucky ones. Most victims don't realize what's happening until it's too late. Your friend's surveillance work and Detective Rivera's quick response prevented significant losses. What about Zoe and her mother? Agent Martinez's expression hardens. Patricia Lane has been cooperating with our investigation in exchange for a reduced sentence. She's provided valuable information about the network's operations and financing. And Zoe? Zoe Lane is claiming she was coerced by Volkov and had no knowledge of the broader criminal network. Her attorney is pushing for a plea deal. I lean back in my chair, processing this information. Do you believe her? Honestly? No. The evidence suggests she was an active participant who knew exactly what she was doing, but proving that in court is another matter. Agent Martinez pulls out another document, a thick legal brief with multiple signatures. Which brings me to why I'm here. We'd like you to testify in the federal case against the entire network. Your evidence could help us put away not just Volkov and the Lane women, but the entire organization. What would that involve? Court testimony, possibly relocation if we determine you're at risk of retaliation, and definitely a lot of media attention. This case is going to be big news. Media attention. The last thing I want is my personal life splashed across every tabloid in Miami. I need to think about it. Of course. But Mr. Harper, I want you to understand something. This network has destroyed dozens of lives. Men who trusted the wrong women, lost their businesses, their families, their futures. Some of them never recovered. She stands to leave, then turns back. There's one more thing. We believe there are other active operations in Miami right now. Other men being targeted by women connected to this network. Your testimony could save them from what almost happened to you. After Agent Martinez leaves, I sit alone in my office, staring at the photos she left behind. 17 confirmed victims, 50 million in losses. And somewhere in Miami, it's probably happening again to someone else. My phone buzzes with a text from Carl. Lunch? I've got updates on the asset recovery. 20 minutes later, we're sitting at our usual spot. a Cuban restaurant in Little Havana that serves the best ropa vieja in Miami and doesn't attract the Instagram crowd. So, Carl says, digging into his plantains, how does it feel to be a federal witness? You heard about Agent Martinez? I hear about everything. It's my job. He grins and pulls out his tablet. Speaking of which, want to see what happened to your ex-fiancé's social media empire? He shows me Zoe's Instagram account. Where she once had 3 million followers, she's now down to about 50,000. The comments on her recent posts are brutal. A mix of condemnation, mockery, and threats from people who feel betrayed by her deception. Turns out, Carl explains, when your followers discover your entire life was a lie designed to steal money, they don't stick around for the redemption arc. What about her influencer friends? Scattered like roaches when the lights come on. Remy deleted her entire social media presence and moved back to Ohio. The others are all distancing themselves as fast as possible. I scroll through Zoe's recent posts, desperate attempts to maintain her brand, claiming she was a victim, begging for understanding from followers who no longer care. It's pathetic and sad and exactly what she deserves. There's more, Carl continues. Remember Vince Martinez? My business rival who warned me about Eric? What about him? Turns out his warning wasn't entirely altruistic. He was being investigated by the same FBI task force for money laundering. Helping you was his way of earning federal cooperation points. So everyone was playing angles. Welcome to Miami, where nothing is ever what it seems. We eat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the normal people of Little Havana go about their normal lives. It's refreshing after weeks of dealing with criminals and federal agents and the wreckage of my personal life. So what's next? Carl asks finally. Agent Martinez wants me to testify against the entire network, help them put away not just Eric and Zoe, but everyone involved in these romance scams. You going to do it? Good question. Testifying means reliving the whole experience in public, having my personal life dissected by lawyers and journalists. It means admitting I was foolish enough to fall for a con artist, naive enough to trust someone who was planning my murder. But it also means stopping other men from going through what I went through. It means justice for the 17 confirmed victims and however many others are still out there. Yeah, I say finally. I'm going to do it. Carl nods approvingly. Good. These bastards need to pay for what they've done. What about the business? Can Harper Exotic Rentals survive the publicity? Are you kidding? You're going to be the guy who outsmarted international criminals and helped bring down a $50 million fraud network. That's not bad publicity. That's the best advertising money can't buy. He's probably right. Miami loves a good comeback story, and there's nothing this city respects more than someone who wins against long odds. My phone rings, Detective Rivera's name on the display. Jake, you need to get down to the courthouse. Zoe's attorney is trying to get her released on bail, and the judge wants to hear from you before making a decision. On my way. The Miami-Dade courthouse is a circus of reporters, cameras, and curious onlookers when I arrive. The Volkov Lane case has become front-page news, complete with breathless coverage of the Instagram influencer murder plot and Miami's millionaire romance scam. I push through the crowd and find Detective Rivera waiting inside. How's it going in there? I ask. Zoe's lawyer is claiming she was an innocent victim manipulated by older, more sophisticated criminals. He's painting her as a naive young woman who got in over her head. What's the prosecutor saying? The truth. That she was an active participant in a criminal conspiracy that included planning your murder. We walk into the courtroom, where I get my first look at Zoe since her arrest 3 weeks ago. She's traded her designer clothes and perfect makeup for a plain orange jumpsuit and the kind of pale, exhausted look that comes from spending time in jail. When she sees me, her face crumples and she starts crying. It's a performance. I can tell because I've seen her practice fake emotions for Instagram posts, but it's a good performance. Her attorney, an expensive-looking man in a $1,000 suit, stands to address the judge. Your Honor, My client is a 26-year-old woman with no prior criminal record who fell under the influence of Eric Volkov, a sophisticated criminal with international connections. She was manipulated and coerced into participating in activities she didn't fully understand. The prosecutor, a sharp-eyed woman named Janet Rodriguez, stands to respond. Your Honor, the evidence clearly shows that Ms. Lane was an active and willing participant in a conspiracy to defraud and potentially murder Mr. Harper. She wasn't coerced. She was recruited because of her skills at manipulation and deception. The judge, a stern-looking man in his 60s, studies the case files spread before him. Mr. Harper, I understand you're the primary victim in this case. Do you have anything to say about the defendant's request for bail? I stand, feeling the weight of everyone's attention. Zoe is looking at me with desperate hope, probably thinking I'll take pity on her, maybe even help her one last time. Your Honor, 3 weeks ago I discovered that the woman I was planning to marry had been systematically planning to steal everything I own and potentially have me killed. She documented our entire relationship for social media while secretly planning my destruction. She brought criminals into my home, gave them access to my personal information, and participated in planning what they called my accidental death. I pause, looking directly at Zoe. This wasn't a naive young woman being manipulated. This was a calculated predator who chose her victims carefully and executed a sophisticated plan to destroy their lives. She doesn't deserve bail. She deserves to stay in jail until she can be tried for her crimes. The judge nods and makes his decision immediately. Bail denied. The defendant will remain in custody pending trial. Zoe's composure finally breaks. She starts sobbing, real tears this time, as the bailiff leads her away. She looks back at me once, and for a moment I see the woman I thought I loved, scared and alone and facing the consequences of her choices. Then she's gone, and I feel nothing but relief. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm around me with cameras and microphones, shouting questions about the case and my relationship with Zoe. I push through them without comment, but I can hear their speculation and theories following me to my car. By tomorrow, my story will be everywhere. The businessman who uncovered his fiancée's murder plot, the Miami millionaire who outsmarted international criminals, the man who turned the tables on romance scammers. It's not the life I planned, but it's the life I've got. And for the first time in months, I'm looking forward to what comes next. 6 months later, Eric Volkov is sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. Zoe gets 15 years after her cooperation claims fall apart under scrutiny. Patricia Lane receives 5 years and agrees to testify against other network members. The FBI's investigation leads to arrests in 12 states and the recovery of over $30 million in stolen assets. Agent Martinez calls it one of the most successful operations against organized romance fraud in bureau history. Harper Exotic Rentals not only survives the publicity, but thrives. Business is up 40%, and I've opened a second location in Fort Lauderdale. Turns out Carl was right. Being the guy who outsmarted criminals is great for business. I never remarried, but I'm dating someone new. Her name is Lisa. She's a pediatric nurse, and she doesn't own a single social media account. We met at a charity event. She has no idea how much money I make, and she's never asked to borrow one of my cars for a photo shoot. It's refreshingly normal. Sometimes I think about Zoe, sitting in federal prison, probably wondering how everything went so wrong. How the man she thought was an easy mark turned out to be the one who brought down her entire criminal network. But mostly I don't think about her at all. I'm too busy living my actual life, the one that's real, honest, and built on something more substantial than Instagram likes and fake romance. And in Miami, that's rarer and more valuable than any Lamborghini.